Hey guys, Anders here. Welcome back to another YouTube video. In today's video, we're talking about something that came up in my chat a couple times recently, actually, and I tweeted about it as well. Can the next Battlefield game actually be worse than Battlefield 2042? That's a bit of an interesting question because I think people sort of jump to the conclusion that, oh yeah, of course it's going to be, just to sort of, you know, hate on Battlefield, hate on DICE, hate on all that sort of stuff. They don't actually think about what they're saying. They don't put what they're saying into perspective. And I don't think they get how difficult making the next Battlefield game definitively worse than Battlefield 2042 would actually be. That is an extremely tall task. So in today's video, I figured we'd dive into just what would need to happen for the next Battlefield game to actually be worse than Battlefield 2042, and why I think it's actually not realistic. So if you enjoyed the video, be sure to hit the like button and, of course, subscribe to the channel. I upload regularly and I stream every single day at twitch.tv/enders. First link in the description. Follow my channel. It is free. So why do I think the next Battlefield game is probably going to be better than Battlefield 2042? Well, I think when you look at what makes Battlefield 2042 such a poorly received game, it's a bunch of things that were all separately executed unbelievably poorly to come together all in one game to form Battlefield 2042 as we know it. And then on top of that, you have to take into consideration just a lot of the decisions they made, the release being awful, the amount of content, the communication, the map design. You know, you could list 100 different things. But the craziest thing is, it's all in one game. So for the next Battlefield game to be worse than 2042, it would have to be equal to 2042 in terms of like how poorly it's received, but also even worse. And I don't think they'll make the same mistakes they made in Battlefield 2042, because I think from now on, the bar is so low that it's actually unbelievably easy to improve upon the product. For instance, when you take map design into consideration, does anyone really believe that all or most of the next Battlefield's maps are going to be worse than Battlefield 2042's? Like, think about that for a second. How would that even occur? What would they have to do? What room did they leave to make it worse? And I'm not asking you guys to instill your confidence in DICE. I'm not asking you guys to instill your confidence in EA. I'm not saying the next Battlefield game is going to be good. I'm just saying, is it realistic to expect the next game to, I guess, surpass it in the wrong direction? And I don't actually think it is. And I can already see people typing in the comments section, oh, Anders, people said this all the time for Battlefield 5. Yes, you're absolutely right. And I might have even said at a certain point that there's no way they're going to make a game worse than Battlefield 5. But I think realistically, we all knew that there was room to make Battlefield 5 worse. And Battlefield 2042 is living, tangible evidence that that is reality. There was, in fact, a lot of room to make a game worse than Battlefield 5. But I don't think that same room is left with Battlefield 2042. Another example being specialists. I think specialists will be a unique mistake that stays exclusive to Battlefield 2042. I don't think they will be that dumb, that naive, that arrogant to make that same mistake again in the next Battlefield game. And building off of my previous example where I spoke about how I don't think the next Battlefield game's maps are going to be worse than Battlefield 2042's, I'm not saying that the next Battlefield game is suddenly going to have Battlefield 1 and Battlefield 3 level map design. I think that's unrealistic. I'm just saying it's kind of difficult to make a map worse than Hourglass if you really think about it. Like, how are you going to make a map that's worse than a 600-meter open desert wasteland with literally no cover, but there's also skyscrapers and some dude is on the rooftop with a fucking railgun and he calls in a robot dog with a rail tank, right? You know what I mean? Like, that's a real situation that I have actually seen happen in Battlefield 2042. And another interesting thing to think about when talking about is the next Battlefield game going to be worse, you have to consider that EA sort of hired their dream team of people, so to speak. They brought back Tigger from Battlefield 4. They brought in Vince Zampella. They brought in Marcus Leto, the literal creator of Halo. And I understand that they haven't proven themselves in terms of Battlefield yet, but I don't really think that those minds will come together and produce a product that is worse than Battlefield 2042. I just couldn't imagine how that would be possible, considering just the experience that those individuals have in producing, decent-ish games of their own. Tigger with Battlefield 4, Leto obviously with Halo, and then Zempella. I think he worked on Apex for a little bit in the earlier seasons, or maybe I think he was the head of Respawn or something. So I do have to admit that I do have a heightened sense of confidence in the new leadership than I did with the previous leadership, and I think that is warranted given just who they are and the current situation regarding Battlefield 2042 as a whole. And remember, while we're talking about this topic, you have to understand what you're saying when you say the next Battlefield game is probably going to be worse than Battlefield 2042. That is an unbelievably, deceivingly complex statement. Because for the next Battlefield game to be comparatively and definitively worse than Battlefield 2042, they have to make the same catastrophic errors as before without making even a single decent positive change to the next Battlefield game to offset maybe some of those irritations. And me personally, I think that is hating on DICE and EA just a little too much, even for me, which might, sound a little crazy coming out of my mouth, but you'd be surprised the amount of people that come into my channel, in the comment section, on Reddit, on Twitter, that say that they're absolutely certain that the next game is going to be worse. And I've never shared that outlook. I really haven't. When I look at everything and I try to be logical, I try to be rational about it, I just don't see how it would be possible. There isn't enough room left for them to make more mistakes that definitively could make the game worse. At this point, if the next Battlefield game is worse, they actually deserve a medal. They deserve a medal because it would be legitimately impressive. I would be impressed if the next Battlefield game is worse because that's really difficult. Like, you actually did something amazing that no other franchise has done before. So I suppose you could say that my opinion on this subject right now is that I am cautiously eager to see how the next Battlefield unfolds, just because at this point it's kind of like watching like a big house fire. You know it's bad, you should like leave or something, but you just can't look away. You just have to pay attention, right? You have to stand there and watch it just to see what happens. And I fully anticipate that this video will cause much debate in the comment section down below, so definitely leave your thoughts, and if you enjoyed the video, hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. I have some really cool things coming in the department of peripherals, perhaps, so if you are a peripheral enjoyer, definitely pay attention to that. And just one final statement. I understand that there are probably going to be some people in the comment section that say, Enders, are you seriously underestimating EA DICE's ability to conjure unforeseen levels of disappointment? And I'm saying no, I'm not underestimating their ability to do that. I'm daring them to make the next Battlefield game worse. Show me. If you can make the next Battlefield game worse, show me. Because I legitimately don't fucking know how you possibly could anymore.
Multiple hostiles!